A millionaire marries his housekeeper for money. What happens next shocks everyone. Before we begin, dear viewers, please let us know in the comments where you're watching us from. Don't forget to rate the story from 1 to 10 at the end. Today, I'm going to tell you a story from Golden Heart Stories that will stop your hearts. Millionaire Charles Webster's life changes completely when he meets Linda Martinez, a brave woman fighting for her sick brother. This story is about two people from different worlds caught between money, love, and justice. You'll experience unexpected marriage proposals, bombshell secrets from the past, and betrayals that will break your heart. But remember, nothing is as it seems, and you won't know which character to support in the end. Are you ready? Let's begin. Charles Webster, a 30-year-old millionaire, stood in front of his office's glass walls, looking at the city lights. From the outside, this handsome CEO of Webster Holdings seemed to have it all. But his heart just wouldn't fill up. After losing his father to a sudden heart attack 2 years ago, he took over the company. Since then, his mother, Susan Webster, had only one concern: marrying off her son. The door opened and his mother entered. "Charles, look, son. I found you another beautiful girl, Jennifer Morrison. She's a Stanford graduate, and her family owns an oil company. She's both beautiful and smart." Charles answered without lifting his head from his desk. "Mom, how many times have I told you? I don't want to get married. The company takes up enough of my time." "Son, you're 30 years old now." Susan's voice began to rise. "Your father married me and had you by your age. Doesn't our lineage need to continue? Won't I have grandchildren to take care of this great inheritance?" Charles turned to his mother, fatigue evident in his eyes. "Mom, please, don't bring up this topic again." "No, Charles. You've pushed my patience to its limits," Susan said harshly. "I bring you different girls every day, all of whom are perfect candidates. You reject them all. Why? What do you want?" "I just want to be left alone, Mom. The company is very busy. We have new projects." Company. Susan slammed the table. "Is there nothing in your life besides the company? No love? No affection? No desire to have children?" Charles stood up. "Mom, that's enough. You can't decide how my life will be." "Oh, really?" Susan's voice took on a threatening tone. "Well, then let me tell you something, Charles Webster. Listen to me carefully." Charles noticed his mother's seriousness. "What are you going to say? If you don't get married within a week, I'm disinheriting you. The company, the house, the bank accounts, everything is in my name. Don't forget that." Charles looked at his mother in shock. Was this really his mother saying these things? "Are you serious, Mom? Can you really do such a thing?" "You know very well how serious I am, Charles. I never speak empty words. Either you'll get married or you won't inherit anything," Susan said decisively. These words made lightning flash in Charles's eyes. When his mother spoke these words that no one else dared to say to him, he had to swallow his anger. Raising his voice slightly, "Mom, this is ridiculous. You're trying to force me into marriage." "Force?" Susan wore a bitter smile. "Charles, have you ever seen the real world? Have you ever opened your heart to someone? Have you ever loved? This is not a topic we should discuss. It's none of your business. This is exactly what we should discuss." Susan raised her voice. "You're living like a robot, son. Work, money, the company. These aren't life, Charles. Life is about loving and being loved and building a family." Charles listened to his mother silently. Then he took a deep breath. "All right, Mom. If you really want this, I'll get married." Susan's face suddenly lit up. "Really, son? Oh, I'm so happy. I'll immediately call Jennifer and—" "Stop, Mom," Charles said decisively. "If I'm going to get married, I'll choose the woman. You won't interfere in this matter." Susan's joy turned to concern. "Charles, what are you saying? Of course you'll marry someone from your social class, from a respectable family. This is completely natural." For Charles, this was the perfect opportunity to silence his mother. "Mom, I'm going to marry Linda, the housekeeper at the mansion. She caught my eye the day she started working. I really like her." Susan's mouth fell open. For a few seconds, no sound came out. What did you say? With that housekeeper girl? Charles, have you gone crazy? You wanted me to get married, and I'm doing just that. But I have conditions. I choose the woman. You don't interfere. Charles, this is impossible. That girl is not on your level. What will society say? What will our friends think? What will the newspapers write? Most of all, you're betraying your father's memory. Susan's voice turned into a scream. Mom, I either marry this way or I don't marry at all. The choice is yours, Charles replied calmly. Susan remained silent for a long time. She was doing calculations in her mind. Finally, she took a deep breath. All right, son. If you won't marry any other way, at least you'll have experienced married life. But Charles, this won't be temporary, will it? In the future, when you find a real wife. Mom, whoever I marry is my wife. I want you to show her respect, Charles said. But he was making other plans. Susan nodded. Okay, son. Your decision. But this will be a real marriage, right? I mean, children, grandchildren. As she said this, Susan thought that Charles wouldn't stay with the housekeeper for very long anyway and was testing him. Charles smiled. Don't worry, Mom. Everything will be as you planned. That night, Charles sat alone in his bedroom, thinking about his plan. He would marry Linda, silence his mother, and escape this situation in a few years. It seemed like a perfect plan. Meanwhile, Linda Martinez, a 24-year-old woman, was running to the hospital in the early morning hours. The bag in her hand was heavy because it contained clean clothes and her favorite books for her brother, Paul. As she walked through the hospital corridors, her heart beat fast. Linda, did you come? Paul greeted his sister in a weak voice. The 20-year-old man looked pale in the hospital bed. Of course I came. How are you today? Linda sat next to her brother and held his hand. I had another seizure last night. The nurses told me. I don't remember anything, but I'm very tired, he said, looking sad. Dr. Anderson entered the room at that moment. Linda, we need to talk to you about Paul's condition. We need to talk about Paul's condition. Linda stood up. Yes, doctor. I'm listening. Paul's seizures are no longer under control like they were before. The medications we're using are becoming insufficient. We need to switch to a new generation of medications. Isn't this a good thing, doctor? More effective medications. Yes, they're effective. But they're very expensive, Linda. These medications cost around $15,000 a month. Linda's heart sank. $15,000? Doctor, where will I find that much money? Unfortunately, medicine is merciless in this regard. Your insurance doesn't cover these medications. You'll either get the medications, or Paul's life will be in danger. How much time do we have? Linda's voice trembled. We need to start within a month. Otherwise, the risk of major seizures will increase greatly. Linda returned to Paul's side. Her brother was dozing. The young girl's eyes filled with tears. 3 years ago, after losing their father, Paul and their mother, Maria, had become her responsibility. As she was leaving the hospital, she called Maria. Mom, we need $15,000 for Paul's medication. What? Where will we find that much money, daughter? Maria's voice was worried. I don't know, Mom. But we have to find it. Paul's life is in danger. Mom, I'm already working 3 jobs. I can't take on more work. You graduated from the tourism department. Why can't you find a better job? Mom, because Paul is sick, we need money urgently. I'm working as a housekeeper now. At least I'm earning money immediately. Which family are you working for? Linda hesitated for a moment. The Webster family. The Websters? The rich family. Yes, Mom. Isn't that ironic? I'm working in the house of the family that ruined our father. Maria fell silent. They both knew the story of their father, Robert Martinez, well. He owned a small but successful hotel chain in Los Angeles. Martinez Hotels was the family's pride and livelihood. Daughter, stay away from that family. They are our enemies. Mom, I have no choice. We need money for Paul's medication. I have to take this job. As Linda entered the mansion, security guard James greeted her. Good morning, Linda. How's it going? Good morning, James. Paul's condition has worsened. Get well soon, girl. I know you're worried about your brother. Linda entered the main hall of the mansion. The house was magnificent. There were marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and expensive paintings. Every corner smelled of luxury. But to Linda, it was just a workplace. While she was getting cleaning supplies, housekeeper Martha came to her side. Linda, how are you today? Your face looks pale. I'm fine, Martha. Just a little tired. You're worried about your brother, aren't you? It shows. Linda nodded. Yes, Paul's medications are expensive. I don't know how we'll find the money. Look, girl, maybe you could tell Mr. Charles about the situation. He's a rich man. Maybe he'll help. No, Martha. Nobody helps. Everyone's dealing with their own problems. You think so, but Mr. Charles isn't as cold-hearted as you think. Linda gave a bitter smile. Martha, rich people only think about their own worlds. They don't even see people like us. At that moment, Charles came down the stairs. His suit was immaculate, and he stood with confidence. Linda bowed her head when she saw him and continued cleaning. Charles looked at Linda. She had been working in his house for a week, yet they hadn't had a proper conversation. She was quiet and hard-working. Good morning, Charles said. Linda raised her head. Good morning, Mr. Webster. How's work going? Fine, thank you. Charles noticed the sadness on Linda's face. At that moment, however, he was only thinking about his plan. He would marry this woman to silence his mother and then get rid of her. Linda, I need to talk to you. It's about an important matter. Linda was surprised. With me? Yes, let's meet in the library this afternoon. Linda didn't know what to say. Okay, Mr. Webster. Charles left, leaving Linda alone. What could this conversation be about? She had no idea. That afternoon, she stood in front of the library door at the mansion. Her heart was beating fast. She still had no idea what Charles Webster wanted to talk to her about. She knocked on the door. Come in, Charles said from inside. Linda entered the library. The room was filled with shelves of books, antique furniture, and sunlight filtering through large windows. This place was perfect. Charles was sitting behind the large desk. Sit down, Linda, he said, pointing to the chair across from him. Linda sat down hesitantly. Mr. Webster, is there a problem? Did I make a mistake in my work? No. Your work is perfect. This is about something else. Charles stood up and walked toward the window. Linda, I need to talk to you about a personal matter. Linda's anxiety increased. Personal? Charles turned and looked at Linda. Yes, I need to get married. Linda was surprised. Get married? This is wonderful, Mr. Webster. Congratulations. Wait, I'm not finished yet. Charles leaned against the edge of the desk and continued. I need to get married, but this isn't an emotional decision. It's purely practical. Linda didn't understand. I don't understand, Mr. Webster. My mother has wanted me to get married for a long time, and I can't fight with her anymore. I'm going to solve this with a marriage on paper. But this is ridiculous. Love and marriage aren't sacred things. Charles burst out laughing and said, Sacred? These are imaginary things, Linda. The only realities in life are money and power. Anyway, I need to get married, and I chose you. Linda froze. Me? What do you mean? I'm proposing marriage to you, Linda. Linda jumped up. What? Are you making fun of me, Mr. Webster? I'm absolutely serious. But this won't be a normal marriage. It's a business agreement. Linda was confused. A business agreement? Mr. Webster, I don't understand. You don't even know me. You're right, I don't know you. But I don't need to know you. This marriage will only be on paper. You'll be my wife and I'll be your husband. In name only. But why me? There are thousands of women in Los Angeles. Charles approached Linda. Because you're perfect for this job. My mother wants me to marry someone from society, but I'm going to do the opposite. You're a poor housekeeper. This will teach her a lesson. Linda's face reddened. So I'm just a tool to be used to teach your mother a lesson? Linda, please don't misunderstand me. This will be beneficial for both of us. You'll earn a lot of money. Money? Linda's ears rang. Yes, in exchange for marrying me, I'll give you $100,000. In advance. Linda's knees trembled and she sat down in the chair. $100,000? Yes, and during the marriage, you'll also receive a monthly salary of $10,000. You can buy anything you want. Paul's medications spun in Linda's mind. $100,000. That would be enough for Paul to receive treatment for years. How long will we stay married? She asked. 2 years. Maybe 3. Then we'll quietly divorce. You'll leave with your money, and I'll regain my freedom. Linda stood up and began pacing around the room. This is ridiculous. I can't do such a thing. Why can't you? Nothing will harm you. Because it's wrong. Marriage is a sacred institution. Getting married without love is a sin. Charles laughed. Linda, you're a very naive girl. Everything in this world revolves around money. Love only exists in fairy tales. I don't think so, Linda said decisively. Well, how's your brother Paul? Hospital expenses are expensive, aren't they? Linda stopped. How did Charles know about Paul? How do you know about Paul? Linda, you work in my house. Of course I know about your situation. Paul has epilepsy and needs new medication. The doctors said it would cost $15,000, didn't they? Linda's eyes filled with tears. Yes, but this isn't your problem. You're right, it isn't. But I want to help you. With $100,000, Paul can receive treatment for years. Linda went to the window and looked outside. She was fighting a war in her mind. On the one hand, the offer was very attractive. She could save Paul. On the other hand, she wasn't sure she could live with herself. What would our marriage be like? She asked. It will look normal, but it won't be real. We'll live in the same house, but in separate rooms. We'll go to social events together. People will think we're husband and wife. But what about your real feelings? Have you never fallen in love? Charles answered harshly. Love is just a waste of time, Linda. I prefer to focus on my work. Linda turned and looked at Charles. If this marriage won't be real, why don't you marry someone else? Someone from society. Because they would expect real love. You, however, know that this is just business. There won't be any complications. Linda thought for a long time. Paul's face came to mind. Her brother was suffering, and only she could save him. If I accept, I have conditions, she finally said. Charles's eyes sparkled. Tell me. First condition, this marriage will never be real. Only on paper. Accepted. Second, we'll divorce after 2 years and never see each other again. Accepted. Linda took a deep breath. Last condition, if you break this agreement, you'll have to pay compensation. Charles smiled. Agreed. Do you accept? Linda's heart was pounding. This decision would change her life forever. But she thought of Paul and made her decision. I accept, Charles Webster. I'll marry you. Before we continue the story, which do you think is worse? Charles making a marriage for money and inheritance, or Linda accepting the offer for money? Let's discuss it in the comment. The next morning, Linda decided to tell her mother the news. Maria was preparing breakfast in the kitchen. Mom, I need to tell you something important, Linda said in a trembling voice. What happened, daughter? Your face is pale. Linda took a deep breath. Mom, I'm getting married. Maria dropped the glass in her hand. What did you say? Charles Webster asked me to marry him. I accepted. Maria collapsed into a chair. Linda, are you crazy? Who is he and who are you? Mom, please listen. This marriage will save Paul. Charles will give us $100,000. Money? Daughter, marriage isn't about money. Mom, Paul is dying. He needs medication. This money will save him. Maria started crying. Linda, what are you doing? Haven't you forgotten how that family destroyed ours? I haven't forgotten, Mom. But now Paul's life is at stake. At that moment, the phone rang. It was Charles. Linda, we're starting wedding preparations today. I'm coming to pick you up. Today? This fast? Yes, we can't waste time. I'll be there in an hour. Linda said goodbye to her mother and got into Charles's car. The luxury sedan quietly pulled away. First, we'll talk to my mother, Charles said. Then, we'll take care of the marriage procedures. What did your mother say? Did she accept? Charles shrugged. She objected, of course, but she'll have to accept. When they arrived at the Webster mansion, Susan was waiting for them in the living room. Her face was stern, and her eyes blazed with fire. Charles, I'm asking you one last time to change your mind, she said harshly. Mom, I've made my decision. I'm marrying Linda. Susan looked at Linda. Young girl, do you know what you're doing? Linda held her head high. Yes, I do. You're not at Charles's level. This marriage will never work. Charles intervened. Mom, enough. Linda is my choice. Well then, how will the wedding be? Susan asked, her voice dripping with irony. In front of society? Or secretly? It will be a small ceremony. Just family. Susan stood up. I'm not coming to the wedding. I don't approve of this marriage. Mom, that's your choice, Charles said coldly. As Susan left the room, she turned to Linda. You're making a big mistake, young lady. This marriage will end in disaster. After Susan left, Linda looked at Charles. Your mother is very angry. Maybe. Don't worry. She'll get used to it in time. That afternoon, they went to the marriage office. It was a small, ordinary room. Linda had never imagined that her wedding day would be like this. Her mother and friends weren't there. Just Charles and 2 witnesses were present. The marriage officer read the document. Charles Webster, do you accept Linda Martinez as your spouse? I accept, Charles replied in a mechanical voice. Linda Martinez, do you accept Charles Webster as your spouse in marriage? Linda's heart was pounding. I accept. Then I pronounce you husband and wife. And so Linda Martinez became Linda Webster. Charles didn't put a ring on her finger or kiss her. They only signed the documents and everything was over. As they left the marriage office, Linda felt strange. She was married, but she didn't feel married. What happens now? She asked. Now you'll move to my mansion. Your room is ready. I need to say goodbye to my mother. Of course. Let's go together. When Maria saw her daughter, she started crying. Linda, did you really do this? Yes, Mom. I'm Linda Webster now. Oh my God. What has my daughter become? Charles intervened. Ma'am, Linda will live very comfortably from now on. She won't lack for anything. Maria looked at him sternly. Money isn't everything, Mr. Webster. Happiness can't be bought with money. You're right, Charles said. But at least she'll be comfortable. Linda said goodbye to her mother. Mom, I'll send money for Paul's medication right away. Don't worry. Daughter, be careful. No good comes from that family. When they returned to Charles's mansion, the staff was waiting for them. Martha, James, and the other employees were there. Congratulations, Mrs. Webster, Martha said with a smile. Linda was surprised. Thank you, Martha. Charles took Linda upstairs. This is your room. The room was magnificent. It had a large bed, a spacious wardrobe, and a private bathroom. Linda had never stayed in a room like this before. This is beautiful. Thank you. We'll go shopping tomorrow. You'll need new clothes. Why? Because you're a Webster now. Your appearance matters. After Charles left, Linda sat on the bed. What had happened? Just a few days ago, she was a housekeeper. Now, she was a millionaire's wife. But she wasn't a real wife, only on paper. That night at dinner, the 3 of them sat together. Susan didn't say a word. Charles talked about business matters. Linda listened quietly. Linda, tomorrow you'll meet society ladies, Charles said. There's a gala next week. Gala? Yes, for married couples. It will be our first official outing. Linda was worried. What will I do among those people? You'll learn. Don't worry. Susan finally spoke up. Charles, how will you introduce this girl to society? What will you say? Linda is my wife. That's enough. But who are her parents? What's her background? Charles looked at Linda. The past doesn't matter, Mom. What matters is now. After dinner, Linda went to her room. She looked at herself in the mirror. Linda Webster. This name felt strange. She wondered why Charles had married her in the first place. She had to find the answer to that question. On the third day of their marriage, Linda woke up early. Lying alone in the large bed, she still couldn't get used to this strange situation. She couldn't hear any sounds from Charles's room. He was acting as if he didn't exist at all. When she went downstairs, he was sitting at the table reading a newspaper. He ignored her. "Good morning," she said shyly. Charles answered without lifting his head. "Good morning." Linda sat at the table, but Charles didn't say anything else. He just continued reading his newspaper. "What will we do today?" Linda asked. "We won't do anything. I'll go to the office. You do whatever you want." Linda was surprised. "But yesterday you said we'd go shopping. I gave my card to Martha. She'll take you." "I'm very busy." Without even looking at Linda, Charles got up and left. Linda was left alone. What kind of marriage was this? Martha came from the kitchen. "Good morning, Linda. How are you?" "I'm fine, Martha. Charles gave you his card." "Yes, we're going shopping." "Won't we ever be friends?" "Linda, we're not friends. This is a business agreement. Don't forget that." Linda's eyes filled with tears. "But I'm a stranger here. I have no one. My mother will teach you how to be a socialite. You'll learn." "But your mother doesn't like me." Charles finally looked at Linda. "She'll get used to you in time. You will, too." "Get used to what?" "This life. Being rich. Being my wife." Linda stood up. "I'm only your wife on paper. I'm not your real wife." "Correct. And it will stay that way." Linda went up to her room. She lay on the bed and started crying. What kind of marriage was this? Charles wasn't interested in her at all. He didn't talk to her. She was literally invisible to him. The next day, Charles left early again. Linda had breakfast alone. Susan came downstairs. "Today, you'll start learning the rules of society," Susan said. "What kind of rules?" "How to sit at the table, how to talk, and which fork to use. Everything a Webster wife needs to know." Susan gave Linda lessons all day. Table manners, conversation style, and dress code. Linda's head was spinning. "Why are there so many rules?" she asked. "Because we're the upper echelon of society. Our behavior must be exemplary. But this feels so artificial. You'll get used to it. As Charles's wife, you have obligations." When Charles came home in the evening, Linda tried to tell him about her day. "I learned the rules of society with your mother. Very complicated. You have to learn them. We're going to the gala next week." "Can I get more information about the gala?" "It's a charity gala. The richest families in Los Angeles will be there. You'll be introduced as my wife." Linda was worried. "Am I ready?" "You have to be." After dinner, Charles went to his study. Linda was left alone again. Why had this man married her? Why wasn't he showing any interest? That night, as Linda lay in bed, she thought about Charles's cold behavior. Maybe Susan was right. Maybe he was just using her. But why? She had to find the answer to that question. On the 5th day of their marriage, Linda couldn't take it anymore. His cold behavior, his ignoring her, and his robotic lifestyle were driving her crazy. That morning, Charles was having breakfast and reading the newspaper again. "Charles, I want to talk to you," Linda said determinedly. "Talk," Charles said without lifting his head. "Lift your head and talk to me." Surprised, Charles lowered his newspaper. "What's happening?" Linda stood up, her eyes sparkling. "What's happening? We've been married for 5 days, and you haven't had a proper conversation with me once." "Linda, calm down. What do you want? Am I not human? Am I just furniture in this house?" Charles leaned on his table. "Linda, did you forget our agreement? This is a business arrangement. Even if it's a business arrangement, you still have to be civil." Linda's voice was rising. "I am being civil." "Civil?" Linda laughed. "You treat me like a ghost. You never greet me. You never smile. You never make eye contact with me." Charles stood up. "Linda, you're exaggerating." "Am I exaggerating? Yesterday, when I tried to tell you about my day, you said, 'Okay.' Today, I tried to tell you how I feel, and you just kept reading your newspaper." "I'm busy." "Being busy isn't an excuse for rudeness." Linda hit the table. "I'm human too, Charles. I have feelings too. Charles had never expected such a reaction. He saw the fire in her eyes for the first time. Linda, please calm down. I won't calm down. You bought me for money, but that doesn't mean you own me. Nobody said slave. Then why don't you ever talk to me? Why don't you ever ask how I am? Why don't you ever show interest? Charles couldn't answer. Linda continued. I left my family. I left my home. I changed my life for you. But you act as if I don't exist at all. Linda, Be quiet. I'm not finished yet. Linda looked at him angrily. You're a cold, emotionless man, Charles Webster. You must have a heart of stone. These words hit Charles hard. No one had ever spoken to him like this before. I'm not emotionless, he said quietly. Really? Then show it. Smile at me once, just once. Ask how I am just once. Charles looked at Linda. The young woman's face turned bright red. Tears filled her eyes, but her anger didn't subside. Didn't you ever think about how I feel? Linda continued. I'm a stranger here. I don't know anyone. Your mother hates me. The only person I could be close to is you, yet you treat me like a ghost too. Something stirred inside Charles. He realized that Linda was right. Linda, Just what? Just because you paid money, does that mean you can behave however you want? No, that's not it. Then what is it? Linda approached. I'm human too, Charles. I have feelings too. I deserve respect too. Charles looked deeply into Linda's eyes for the first time. He saw pain, loneliness, and anger. You're a very rude man, Linda said, tears welling up in her eyes. You shouldn't treat anyone like this. Linda, I'm used to living this way. That's not an excuse. You're being rude because you look down on me. Because I'm poor and you're rich. No, that's not it. Then what is it? Linda's voice cracked. Why don't you ever talk to me normally? Charles remained silent for a long time. Then he took a deep breath. Because I don't know how. Linda was surprised. What do you mean? I've never been close to anyone, Linda. I never had friends. Just work, money, responsibilities. Linda's anger had subsided a bit. That's not an excuse. I know. You're right. I behaved very rudely. Yes, I behaved very rudely. I can't stand this anymore. Charles approached Linda. So, what do you want? What I want is simple. Talk to me like a human. Greet me. Smile at me at least once during the day. Have dinner conversation with me. Okay. That's it. Charles tried to smile. I'm sorry, Linda. I'm really sorry. You're right. Linda was surprised. Charles was apologizing. I've never lived such a life, he continued. I was always alone. I don't know how to behave. Then learn. I'm not your enemy, Charles. I know. Linda sat down, she was tired. I just want respect. I want to be treated like a human being. Charles sat down too. You're right. I behaved very selfishly. Yes, I was very selfish. Charles looked at Linda. For the first time, he really looked at her. He saw the expression on the young woman's face and the pain in her eyes. Forgive me, Linda. I'll try to change. Really? Yes, you're a very brave woman. No one has ever had the courage to speak to me like this before. Linda smiled slightly. Everyone's afraid of you. But I'm not. Why aren't you afraid? Because you're human too, Charles. Even if you act cold and rude, you're still human. These words made Charles feel different for the first time. Linda saw him not for his wealth but for who he was. Thank you, Linda. For what? For telling me the truth. No one had the courage to do so before. Linda stood up. I hope you really change, Charles. I have the right to be happy here. Charles stood up too. You have the right. And I'll give you that right. On his way to the office that day, Charles thought about Linda's words. The young woman was right. He had behaved rudely. For the first time in his life, someone had dared to confront him about it. Dear viewers, what emotions does this story awaken in you? Happiness? Love? Hope? Write a single word in the comments. The next morning, Charles woke up early, thinking about his conversation with Linda. The young woman's words wouldn't leave his mind. He had really behaved rudely. When he went downstairs, Linda was talking to Martha in the kitchen. "Good morning, Linda," he said with a smile. Linda was surprised. Charles had smiled and said her name. "Good morning, Charles. Shall we have breakfast together? I want to tell you some things." Linda looked at Martha, then turned to Charles. "Sure." They sat at the table. Charles put down his newspaper and started talking to Linda directly. "You were right yesterday, Linda. I really behaved rudely. It's good that you noticed. Tonight we're going to the charity gala. I want to teach you about social life." Linda was worried. "Am I ready? What will I do among those people?" "Don't worry. I'll be with you. I'll teach you everything." After breakfast, Charles took Linda to his study. "First, let me tell you who you'll meet tonight," he said. "The Morrisons, they're in the oil business. The Davidsons, a technology company. The Winchester family owns a real estate empire." "How will I remember all these names?" "By practicing. Now, I'll teach you how to hold a conversation in society." Charles taught Linda how to shake hands, how to smile, and which topics she could discuss. Never talk about personal matters. Don't express your political views. Always be polite. This feels very artificial. Unfortunately, this world works this way, Linda. But be yourself. Just be careful. At lunch, Charles told Linda about his life. "I studied business at Stanford. When my father died, I was only 28. I had to take over the company. That must have been very difficult." "Yes, since then, I've only been working. I never found time for a social life." "Didn't you ever have friends?" "No. I always wondered if they loved me or my money." Linda began to understand Charles. "That's a very lonely life. I got used to it. But you were right. I behaved very rudely." That afternoon, Charles taught Linda how to dance. "Dancing is important at social events," Charles said, holding Linda's hand. "I've never waltzed before. You'll learn. The steps are simple." Charles slowly led Linda into the dance. They were close together for the first time. She could smell his cologne. "Are you getting tense?" Charles asked. "A little. I'm afraid I'll step on your feet." "Don't worry. I stepped on my mother's feet when I was first learning too." Linda laughed. "That's very sweet." Charles smiled too. Linda's laugh was beautiful. "Now we'll turn. Follow my hand." Linda tried to turn, but her foot got caught and she fell onto Charles. "Sorry," she said, blushing. Charles had caught her. Their faces were very close. They both stopped. "No harm done," Charles said softly. Linda stood up. They were both a bit embarrassed. "Maybe we need more practice," Linda said. "Yes, you're right." That evening, while Linda was preparing for the gala, Charles went to his room. "Linda, are you ready?" "Almost." When she came out, he held his breath. She looked elegant in her black dress. "You look beautiful," Charles said. "Thank you. You look handsome, too." In the car, Charles gave Linda her final instructions. "If you get bored, let me know. We'll move somewhere else immediately." "What if I make a mistake?" "You won't. You're a very smart woman, Linda." The gala was magnificent. There was a large hall, crystal chandeliers, and live music. Linda had never seen a place like it in her life. "Wow," she murmured. Charles smiled. "Did you like it?" "It's very beautiful. It's like a fairy tale." Charles introduced Linda to many people. "This is my wife, Linda." When he said this, everyone was very surprised. "Mrs. Webster, I'm very pleased to meet you," said Mrs. Morrison. "I'm pleased to meet you too," Linda replied with a smile. Charles was impressed by Linda's naturalness. Everyone liked her. When it was time to dance, Charles extended his hand to Linda. "Would you like to dance? I'll try not to step on your feet." While they danced, Charles talked to Linda. "You're very successful. Everyone really likes you." "Really?" "Yes, you're very natural and warm. These people are usually very fake. You're not artificial either." Charles looked at Linda. "You changed me, Linda." "How?" "I started being less cold. I started smiling more." Linda smiled. "That's good." When the gala ended, Charles asked Linda in the car, "How was it? Did you have fun?" I had a lot of fun. Thank you. Don't thank me, thank yourself. You were perfect. Charles, can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you choose to live so alone? Charles thought. Maybe to protect myself. I always thought that if I got close to someone, I'd get hurt. But isn't living like this difficult? It was difficult. But you came, and everything started to change. Linda looked at Charles. He was really changing. He was less cold and more human. I just told the truth. Yes, and no one had the courage to tell me the truth before. When they arrived home, Charles thanked Linda. Thank you for tonight, Linda. You're a truly special woman. I thank you, Charles. It was a very beautiful evening. As they went to their respective rooms, they both felt that something was changing between them. Charles could no longer ignore Linda. Linda also realized that Charles wasn't a bad person. The next morning, Linda woke up to the sound of the phone. It was her mother. Linda, Paul's condition has worsened. They took him to the hospital. Come immediately. Linda jumped up in a panic. What happened? Did he have a seizure? Yes, a very big one. The doctors are worried. Linda immediately got dressed and ran downstairs. Charles was having breakfast. Charles, I need to go to the hospital. Paul's condition is serious. Charles stood up. What happened? He had a big seizure. My mother is very worried. I'll take you. Linda was surprised. You? But you have work. Work can wait. Come on. Let's get in the car. On the way, Linda was tense and worried. She wrung her hands and looked out the window. Linda, calm down. Paul will be fine, Charles said. What if he's not? What if these medications don't work? Charles held Linda's hand. That won't happen. The best doctors are taking care of him. Linda felt the warmth of Charles's hand. This closeness comforted her. When they arrived at the hospital, Maria was crying in the hallway. Mom, how is he? Linda ran. It was very bad, daughter. The seizure lasted exactly 5 minutes. The doctors will increase the dosage of the new medication. Charles intervened. Ma'am, make sure Paul gets the best treatment. If necessary, we'll hire private doctors. Maria was surprised. Are you? Charles. Yes, Linda's husband. Maria looked at him sternly. I haven't forgotten what your family did to us. Mom, please, Linda said. Charles spoke calmly. You're right. My family wronged you in the past. But now I want to help Paul. At that moment, Dr. Anderson arrived. Linda, Paul's condition is stable. We'll try a new combination of medications. Doctor, how long will it take to work? Charles asked. We'll see in a few days. But they're expensive medications. Insurance doesn't cover them. Money is no problem, Charles replied. Give him the best. Linda looked at Charles in amazement. He was really trying to help. When they entered Paul's room, the young man was sleeping. He looked pale and weak. Paul, Linda whispered, holding her brother's hand. Paul opened his eyes. Linda, you came. Of course I came. How are you? I'm tired. But I guess I'm okay. Charles approached them. Hello, Paul. I'm Charles. Paul looked at Charles. My sister talked about you. Thank you. For what? For my medications. Linda told me you're paying for them. Charles looked at Linda. This is normal, Paul. The most important thing is that you get better. Paul smiled. Linda is lucky. She found a good husband. Linda was embarrassed. Charles also smiled. I'm the lucky one, he said. They stayed at the hospital for 3 hours. Charles never got bored or acted hurried. He talked to Paul and was courteous to Maria. When they went outside, Linda thanked Charles. Thank you so much for today. You didn't have to come. I did have to. You were worried. I couldn't leave you. Really? Yes, Linda. You're more than just an agreement to me now. Linda's heart raced. What do you mean? You're important. Your being upset makes me upset. They rode quietly in the car. Then Linda spoke up. Charles, how were you so patient with my mother? She was very harsh with you. She was right. My father really did wrong. I feel responsible too. You didn't commit those wrongs. But I'm still the son of that family. At least I can try to make amends. Linda began to see Charles differently. He wasn't just a cold businessman. When they returned home, Susan was waiting for them. "Where were you?" "Charles, you had an important meeting." "I postponed it." "Paul was taken to the hospital." "Who's Paul?" "Linda's brother. He has epilepsy." Susan frowned. "Charles, what are you doing? These people aren't your problem." "Mom, Linda is my wife. Her family is my family too." Susan was surprised. Charles had never spoken like this before. "Charles, you're changing. This girl is affecting you." "Yes, she's affecting me. And that's a good thing." Susan left the room. Charles turned to Linda. "I'm sorry. My mother will get used to it in time." "Charles, I want to ask you something." "Ask." "Why did you help Paul? You didn't have to do this." Charles thought. Because I don't want to see you upset." "Why?" "I don't know, Linda. When you cry, I get upset too." Linda's eyes filled with tears. "That's very sweet." "Sweet?" Charles laughed. "No one would call me sweet. Because no one knows the real Charles. You're actually a very good person." "You think so because you're a good person too, Linda." That evening at dinner, they talked a lot. Charles told Linda about his childhood, and Linda talked about her own family. "My father was a very hard-working man," Linda said. "He loved the hotel business very much. I'm sure he was a good man." "Yes, he was. He wasn't like your father." Charles was saddened. "Linda, I'm very sorry for what my father did." "Charles, you're not responsible. Today, you proved that you're different." "How?" "You worried about Paul. You spoke kindly to my mother. You even postponed your work for me." Charles looked at Linda. "Because you're important, Linda." "Me?" "Yes, very important." They looked at each other. There was electricity between them. But neither of them could fully understand this feeling. That night, Linda lay in bed thinking about Charles. He was really changing. Maybe this marriage didn't have to be just an agreement. 2 weeks later, Paul's medication began to take effect. His seizures decreased and his general condition improved. Linda was very happy, and her happiness also affected Charles. One morning, Linda was looking at the flowers in the garden. Charles watched her from the window. Her hair shone in the sunlight, and a happy expression lit up her face. "Good morning," Charles said as he came out to the garden. "Good morning, Charles. These flowers are so beautiful. I had never noticed them before." "You made me notice them. I didn't even look at the garden before." Linda smiled. "Sometimes beautiful things are right in front of us, but we don't see them." "Just like you," Charles said. Linda blushed. "What do you mean?" "You were always here, but I'm just now learning to see you." In recent days, Charles had changed a lot. He had become warmer and more caring. He smiled more often, too. Linda was also affected by this change. "I have a surprise for you today," Charles said. "A surprise?" "Yes, but first, let's have breakfast." At the breakfast table, Charles told Linda about his plans. "Today, I'm taking you to the best hairdresser in Beverly Hills. Then, we'll go shopping." "Why?" "I already have beautiful clothes." "Because we're going to a very special place tonight." "Where?" "It's a surprise," Charles said, winking. Linda got excited. She loved it when Charles made jokes like this. At the salon, Linda's hair was styled by a professional. The makeup artist applied light makeup to her face. "Wow," Charles said when he saw her. "You look magnificent." "Really?" "Yes, you were always beautiful, but now you're breathtaking." While shopping, Charles bought Linda an elegant dress. It was blue and brought out her eyes. "This is expensive," Linda said when she saw the price tag. "You're valuable, Linda. You deserve the best." That evening, as Linda was getting ready, she was surprised by her reflection in the mirror. She looked very different now. Elegant, beautiful, confident. When Charles came to pick her up, he was taken aback. "Linda, you're incredible." "Thank you. You look very handsome, too." In the car, Charles told Linda where they were going. "We're going to the restaurant on the roof of the Beverly Hills Hotel." "Isn't that very expensive?" "Linda, you're my wife now. You deserve the best." The restaurant was magnificent. The city lights stretched out below them. The candlelit table looked romantic. This is so beautiful, Charles. Thank you. I thank you, Linda, for teaching me how to treat you well. They talked throughout dinner. Charles told Linda about his future plans. The company is doing very well. Maybe I can slow down a bit. Slow down? You? Charles laughed. Yes, me. You taught me that work isn't everything. So, what do you want to do? Spend more time with you. Maybe we can travel. Linda's heart raced. Travel? Yes, Paris, Rome, Tokyo. Where would you like to go? I've never been abroad. Then I'll show you everything. Linda was very happy. Charles was making plans for their future together. When it was time to dance, Charles extended his hand. Would you dance with me? This time, I'll try not to step on your feet. While they danced, they were very close. Linda could smell Charles's cologne. Linda, I want to tell you something, Charles said. Tell me. You changed my life. I've never been this happy before. I'm very happy too, Charles. Really? Yes, you're a very special person. Charles looked into Linda's eyes. You're even more special. They moved closer to each other. Charles was about to kiss her when the music stopped. Maybe we should go home, Linda said, embarrassed. Of course. On the way home, they were both quiet. Something had happened between them, but neither dared to explain it. When they arrived home, Charles accompanied her inside. Thank you for tonight, Linda said. I thank you. You were very beautiful tonight. Charles, can I ask you something? Of course. This closeness between us, is it okay? Charles thought. I don't know, Linda. But it feels very good. Yes, it feels very good. They looked at each other. Charles caressed Linda's cheek. Good night, Linda. Good night, Charles. The following days passed beautifully. Charles gave Linda a good morning kiss every day. They had breakfast together and talked for hours in the evenings. Linda was changing too. She was now more confident and elegant. She had grown accustomed to social life. You've changed a lot, Charles said one evening. How? You're more confident, more beautiful, and more like a queen. Linda laughed. Queen? Yes, my queen. Linda blushed. Charles. What? You say very sweet things. Because you're very sweet. That night, Linda lay in bed thinking about Charles. What she felt for him now was more than just respect. It was something more. Maybe it was love. But that was impossible. Their marriage was fake. Charles only saw her as his contractual wife. Or did he? Recently, Charles's behavior had been very different. He seemed to treat her like a real wife. But Linda couldn't be sure. A month passed, and they were both very happy. Linda had completely transformed. She had gotten used to social life, and had become an elegant lady. Charles had also changed a lot. He knew how to laugh, love, and be happy now. Neither of them knew that these happy days would soon come to an end. Carolyn Scott, Charles's ex-girlfriend, had learned about the marriage and was preparing to take action. She was sitting in her favorite cafe in Beverly Hills, flipping through society magazines. The 25-year-old blonde beauty still couldn't forget Charles after they broke up 6 months ago. When she turned the page, she saw a shocking photo. There was Charles Webster and a woman she didn't recognize standing next to him. The headline read, Webster Holdings CEO gets married. This is impossible, Carolyn murmured. She carefully examined the photo. The woman next to Charles was beautiful, yet ordinary. She definitely wasn't from high society. Carolyn immediately took out her phone and called her closest friend, Jessica. Jessica, did you know Charles got married? What? Charles got married? This must be a joke. No, it's not. There's a photo of him and his wife in the magazine. With a woman named Linda Webster. Linda Webster? I've never heard that name before. Which family is she from? I don't know, but I'll find out. This marriage is very strange. Carolyn immediately called Private Detective Michael Turner. She had hired him before to follow Charles. Michael, I need you to do some research for me. Of course, Miss Scott. What do you want to learn? Everything about Charles Webster's wife, Linda Webster. Her family, her past, her job, and how she met Charles. I understand. How much time are you giving me? 2 days. This is urgent. After hanging up, Carolyn talked to herself. Charles, let's see who you replace me with. The next day, Michael provided the first information. Miss Scott, I learned some interesting things. Tell me. Linda Martinez. Excuse me, Linda Webster. She's 24 years old. Her family used to operate Martinez Hotels. Martinez Hotels? I've never heard of it. That's normal. They went bankrupt 3 years ago. Webster Holdings bought them out. Carolyn's eyes sparkled. What? Charles's family bankrupted this woman's family? Yes, and more interestingly, Linda was working as a housekeeper at the Webster mansion a month ago. Housekeeper? Carolyn laughed. Charles married a housekeeper? Yes, and their marriage happened very suddenly. An overnight wedding. Plans began forming in Carolyn's mind. Go on. What else did you learn? Linda's brother, Paul, has epilepsy. He needs very expensive medication. Interesting. So why did Charles marry such a woman? I don't have clear information about this yet, but strange rumors are circulating. Carolyn thought. Charles's sudden marriage was strange. There must be more to it. That evening, Carolyn went to the club Charles frequently visited. Maybe she could see him there. He was indeed there, but so was Linda. Carolyn watched them from a distance. Charles's behavior toward Linda was strange. He was very caring and affectionate. She had never seen Charles like this before. Does he really love this woman? She wondered. Linda looked very elegant. Her expensive dress, hair, and makeup. She no longer looked like a housekeeper. Carolyn decided to approach her. Charles. What a surprise. Charles turned around and was surprised to see Carolyn. Carolyn? What are you doing here? I always come here, you know. She looked at Linda. And who is this beautiful lady? Charles hesitated. This is my wife, Linda. Your wife? Carolyn acted surprised. I didn't know you were married. Linda felt uncomfortable. Who was this woman, and why did Charles look so tense? I'm Carolyn Scott, she said, extending her hand to Linda. Charles's former friend. Linda shook her hand. Nice to meet you. I'm Linda. Charles, can we talk privately? Carolyn said. No, Carolyn. We have nothing to talk about anymore. But Charles, just 5 minutes. I said no. Charles took Linda's arm. We're leaving. Carolyn watched them leave. It was strange to see Charles trying to protect Linda. The next day, Carolyn called Michael again. Investigate more deeply. There must be something else going on in this marriage. What are we looking for? I don't know. Maybe money, maybe coercion, or maybe another reason. But Charles isn't someone who enters into a marriage suddenly. I understand. Give me a few more days. Carolyn sat at home, thinking about Charles. When they broke up 6 months ago, he had told her, I'm not ready for marriage. Now, he had married a housekeeper. This marriage must be fake, she said to herself. There's no other explanation. The phone rang. It was Jessica. Carolyn, I heard something very interesting. What? My mother plays bridge with Susan Webster. She said that Susan doesn't want this marriage at all. She was very against it. What do you mean? Susan pressured Charles to get married, but not to someone like her. She wanted him to marry someone from society. An idea came to Carolyn's mind. Jessica, can I talk to your mother? Of course. Why? Because I want to learn the secret of this marriage. That evening, Carolyn met with Jessica's mother, Patricia Morrison. Aunt Patricia, what do you know about Charles's marriage? Oh dear. Susan is very upset. She didn't want this marriage at all. So why did Charles marry such a woman? Patricia looked around and spoke in a whisper. I heard through the grapevine that Susan gave Charles an ultimatum. She said that if he didn't get married, she would cancel his inheritance. Carolyn's eyes sparkled. An inheritance threat? Yes, Charles was forced to get married. But Susan wanted him to marry someone from high society. Charles did the exact opposite. He married a housekeeper to spite his mother. Carolyn finally understood the truth. So this marriage is to protect his inheritance. Yes, it seems so. But, of course, these are just rumors. Nobody knows for sure. As Carolyn returned home, she began making her plan. Charles married Linda for her inheritance. This marriage wasn't real. If Linda learned this. Perfect, Carolyn smiled. Charles Webster, I'm going to get you back. She was waiting for the right time to implement her plan. She had learned when Charles was going to be on a business trip. Linda would be alone, and then Carolyn would take action. On the morning of Charles's trip, he said goodbye to Linda. I'll be back in 3 days. You be careful. Don't worry. I'm fine, she replied. Charles kissed her on the forehead. I'll miss you. I'll miss you too. After Charles left, Linda was alone at home. Susan had gone out with friends too. In the afternoon, the doorbell rang. Housekeeper Margaret opened the door. Mrs. Webster, there's a lady here to see you. Who? Carolyn Scott. Linda's heart sank. She was the woman Charles had met at the club. What did she want? Let her in, Linda said. Carolyn entered the living room. She was elegantly dressed and beautiful. Hello, Linda. Do you remember me? Yes, of course. How are you, Carolyn? I'm fine, thank you. I want to talk to you. Linda worried. Talk? About what? About Charles. Shall we sit? They both sat down in armchairs. Carolyn studied Linda. You've changed a lot, Linda. You look like a real society lady now. Thank you. But I know you. You're the Martinez family's daughter. Linda was surprised. How do you know? Los Angeles is a small place. I remember your family. I also remember how Webster Holdings destroyed them. Linda tensed. I don't want to discuss this. But we should discuss it, Linda. You're living in a great deception. What do you mean? Carolyn looked around. Linda, does Charles love you? That's a very personal question. But it's an important question. I know the real reason Charles married you. Linda's heart raced. What do you mean? I know Charles doesn't love you, Linda. He married you for the inheritance. Linda froze. Inheritance? What inheritance? Carolyn approached. Susan Webster gave her son an ultimatum. If he didn't get married, she would disinherit him. Linda was stunned. This is impossible. Unfortunately, it's true. Charles was forced to get married. But his mother wanted him to marry someone from high society. No, this can't be true. Charles did the exact opposite to spite her. He married the poorest woman he could find. You. Linda stood up. You're lying. Charles loves me. Does he love you? Then why has he never said, I love you to you? Linda stopped. Charles had never said, I love you. Because he doesn't love you, Linda. You're just a tool. He used you to protect his inheritance. No. Linda started crying. This isn't true. Linda, calm down and think. Why did Charles marry you? He didn't know you at all. You were just a housekeeper. He told me he needed a wife. Yes, for the inheritance. Why else would he marry a poor girl like you? Linda collapsed. But he changed so much. He's very caring toward me. Of course he's caring. You're the woman protecting his inheritance. He has to keep you happy. This is very cruel. Carolyn sat next to Linda. Linda, I'm telling you this because I pity you. You're a good girl. You don't deserve to be deceived. So, do you love Charles? Yes, I love him very much. We broke up 6 months ago because he wasn't ready for marriage. Now, I've learned that he didn't want to marry me. He was forced to marry someone else. Linda was crying. I'm so stupid. I was really starting to love him. You're not stupid. Charles is a very good actor. It's normal that he convinced you. So what should I do? Leave, Linda. Leave Charles. If you have any self-respect, don't live in these lies. But I love him. He doesn't love you. Understand that. You're just an agreement. Linda stood up and left the room. She ran to her room and locked the door. She lay on the bed and sobbed. Carolyn was waiting downstairs. A few minutes later, Linda came downstairs. Her eyes were bright red. Carolyn, can you show me proof? What proof? Of this inheritance matter. Carolyn took files out of her bag. These are my private detective's reports. Everything is written here. Linda read the document. Susan's ultimatum, Charles's forced marriage, the threat to the inheritance. Everything was written down. Is this real? Unfortunately, yes. You're just a solution for Charles. Linda put the documents on the table. I'm such a fool. You're not a fool. You were deceived. But I really loved him. I thought he loved me too. Linda, real love isn't like this. It isn't built on lies. Linda stood up. I'm leaving. Where? I don't know. But I can't stay here. Good decision, Linda. You deserve much better. Linda went up to her room and started packing her suitcase. She couldn't stay there anymore. She had to leave before Charles returned. As she went downstairs, she saw that Carolyn was still waiting. Linda, if you need help. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you for telling me the truth. You're welcome. You're a good girl. Linda left the house. She didn't look back. Her heart was broken, but she had her dignity. As she got into the taxi, she looked at the mansion one last time. She remembered the happy days she had spent inside. Now, however, she knew that her happiness had been built on lies. Where to? The driver asked. Linda counted the money in her pocket. Downtown. The cheapest hotel. As the taxi drove off, Linda thought about Charles. Were his behaviors toward her genuine or fake? She would never know the answer now. Her story with Charles Webster was ending here. When Charles returned from his 3-day business trip, it was evening. He was eager to see Linda at home. He had missed her very much. Linda! I'm back! He called out as he entered the living room. There was no answer. The house was quiet. Martha came out of the kitchen. Welcome back, Mr. Webster. Thank you, Martha. Where's Linda? Martha's face changed. Mr. Webster, Linda left the house 2 days ago. Charles froze. What? She left? Where did she go? I don't know, sir. She grabbed her suitcase and left. She didn't explain why. Charles immediately ran upstairs. He entered Linda's room. The wardrobe was empty. Her personal belongings were gone, too. Only the expensive clothes that Charles had bought were left hanging. There was a letter on the bed. Charles opened it with trembling hands. Charles, I now know the truth. The only reason for this marriage was inheritance. I understand that I was just a tool you used. I can no longer live with these lies. Don't look for me. Linda. After reading the letter, Charles collapsed. Linda had learned the truth. But how? He ran downstairs and found Martha. Martha, did anyone come by the day Linda left? Yes, sir. A lady named Carolyn Scott came. She talked to Mrs. Linda. Charles's blood drained. Carolyn? How long did she stay? About an hour. Then Mrs. Linda looked very upset. Charles was going crazy with anger. Carolyn had told Linda everything. He immediately took out his phone and called her. The phone was off. Damn it, he shouted. Susan came home at that moment. Charles? What's happening? Why are you shouting? Mom, Linda left the house. Susan acted surprised. Really? Why? She found out the truth about our marriage. What do you mean? She knew about the inheritance issue. Who told her? A slight smile appeared on Susan's face. I don't know, son. Maybe someone told her. Charles looked at his mother suspiciously. Mom, do you know something? Me? No, of course not. But maybe this is better. How is it better? Charles, did you really love that girl? Charles stopped. How could he answer that question? I don't know. See? You're not even sure. She left. Now you can marry someone real. Mom, I want Linda. Susan was surprised. Charles was speaking so decisively for the first time. Do you want Linda? Why? Because I can't be happy without her. Charles went out and started looking for Linda. He called all the hotels and asked all his friends. No one had seen her. He called her mother, Maria. Ma'am, is Linda with you? Linda? No, isn't she with you? No, she left the house. Don't you know? Maria was surprised. What? Why would Linda leave? It's a long story. If she comes to you, please call me. Charles searched for Linda all night. He called hospitals, police stations, everywhere. There was no trace of her. The next morning, he called Carolyn. Carolyn, what did you tell Linda? Charles. How are you? What did you tell Linda? Charles shouted. Calm down, Charles. I just told her the truth. What truth? The truth that you married her for her inheritance. How could you do this? Because that girl was being deceived, Charles. You were using her. I wasn't using her. Really? Then why did you marry her? Charles couldn't answer. Carolyn was right. Charles, Linda is gone. Now you can be with me. I don't want you, Carolyn. I want Linda. But she doesn't love you anymore. She did love me. You ruined everything. Charles hung up the phone. He had to find Linda. He searched for 3 days but couldn't find her. She seemed to have disappeared from the face of the earth. On the 4th day, he decided to visit Paul. Maybe she was there. When he arrived at the hospital, Paul was alone. Paul, have you seen Linda? Charles, is that you? Are you looking for her? Yes, I can't find her anywhere. Is she with you? Paul looked sad. She came yesterday. She was in very bad condition. Is she here? No, she just came to visit. She had been crying a lot. What did she say? She said your marriage was over. That you betrayed her. Charles's heart sank. I didn't betray her. That's what she thinks. She said you only used her for money. Paul, I love Linda. Paul was surprised. Really? Yes. I love her very much. I can't live without her. Then why did you do such a thing? Charles sat on the edge of the bed. Because I'm stupid, Paul. I didn't know what love was. Linda taught me. So what will you do now? I'll find her. I'll tell her the truth. What truth? That I love her. That my life is meaningful with her. Paul smiled. Then go find her. As Charles left the hospital, he was determined. He was going to find Linda and explain everything to her. But where was she? Where in the city was she hiding? Charles sat in his car, thinking about her. He missed her smile, her voice, her perfume. He missed everything about her. Linda, he murmured. Please give me one more chance. At that moment, his phone rang. It was a number he didn't recognize. Hello? Mr. Webster? This is Detective Johnson. I heard you're looking for your wife, Linda Webster. Charles's heart stopped. Yes. Did you find her? Mr. Webster, please come to headquarters. We need to talk. Charles's world collapsed. Had something happened to Linda? His heart pounding, Charles ran to the police station. Detective Johnson met him in his office. Mr. Webster, please sit down. Did something happen to my wife? Is she hurt? No. Your wife is fine. I heard, however, that you were looking for her. She also filed a police report. Charles was relieved. Where is she? Can I talk to her? Mr. Webster, your wife asked us to protect her. She told us not to tell you where she is. Protection? Is she afraid of me? Yes, and I need to warn you not to harass her. Charles collapsed. Detective, I love my wife. I don't want to hurt her. She doesn't think so. She says she was used. Please, just let me talk to her for 5 minutes. I'll explain everything to her. Detective Johnson thought. Mr. Webster, I see that you're sincere. But I can't do anything without your wife's permission. Well, will you ask her? Does she want to talk to me? Okay, I'll call her. Detective Johnson called Linda. Charles could hear the phone conversation. Linda, your husband is here. He wants to talk to you. Yes, he looks very upset. Okay, I'll ask. He hung up the phone. Linda wants to see you in the park. But in a public area for security. Charles was relieved. Which park? Griffith Park. Meet me at the main gate in an hour. Charles went early and waited for Linda. His heart was pounding. What would he say to her? Linda arrived right on time. She looked very pale and weak. Her eyes were red, as if she had cried a lot. Hello, Linda. Hello, Charles. They sat on a bench. There was distance between them. Linda, when I learned that you left. Charles, please, stop playing games. I know the truth now. What truth? The truth is that you married me for my inheritance. Charles bowed his head. Linda, it's true, but... There. You admit it. You used me. No, Linda, wait. Listen to me. What am I going to listen to? What other lies do you have? Charles tried to hold Linda's hand, but she pulled away. Yes, Linda, at first I married you for the inheritance. There. But then everything changed. You changed me. How did I change you? Charles stood up and faced Linda. Linda, I had never been in love before. I had never loved anyone. You taught me love. You're lying. I swear, Linda. I'm not lying. At first, it was just an agreement, but then... Then what? Then I fell in love with you. Linda laughed, but it was a bitter laugh. Charles, am I stupid? You never loved me. I did love you. I loved you very much. Then why did you never say, I love you? Charles stopped. Linda was right. Because I was afraid. Afraid of what? Of being rejected by you. You knew we had an agreement. I thought that if I confessed my love for you, you would reject me. Linda started crying. Charles, do you know how cruel you are? Why? You made me fall in love. You made me feel like you loved me. But it was all lies. It wasn't lies, Linda. I really love you. No, you're just a great actor. Charles knelt in front of Linda. Linda, look at me. Look into my eyes. Linda turned her head away. No. Please, Linda. Look into my eyes and tell me. Are these feelings fake? Linda looked at Charles through her tears. There was real pain in his eyes. If you hadn't been there, Linda, I wouldn't have survived. I've been dying since the day you left. You are my life. Charles. I'm so stupid, Linda. I realized it too late. I realized I loved you too late. What about your mother? The inheritance? I don't care. I don't care if I lose my inheritance. You're more important. Linda was surprised. What did you say? Just what you heard. Inheritance, money, company. None of that is as important as you. But then why? Because I didn't know love, Linda. You taught me. But I was too cowardly to say it. Linda was crying. Charles, I trusted you so much. You broke that trust. I know. I'm very sorry for that. I really loved you. I love you too, Linda. I still love you. But I don't trust you anymore. Charles stood up. Linda, give me a chance. Let me prove it to you. How will you prove it? I'll stand up to my mother. I'm rejecting my inheritance. Charles, this is ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. You are my real wealth, Linda. Linda stood up. Charles, it's too late. No, it's not too late. You loved me. You still love me. Yes, I still love you, but... Charles grabbed Linda by the arms. Then give me a chance. Charles, you hurt me very much. I know. I'll make it up to you for the rest of my life. Linda hesitated. She could see the sincerity in his eyes. Charles, if this is a lie too... It's not a lie, Linda. I swear. So what will you do? You'll come home. I'll stand up to my mother. We'll have a real marriage. What if you lose your inheritance? I'll lose it. You're more important. Money doesn't matter. Linda thought for a long time. She felt that Charles was sincere. Charles, if you deceive me one more time... I won't deceive you. Never. Linda took a deep breath. Okay, I'm giving you one last chance. Charles's face lit up. Really? Yes, but I have a condition. I'll accept any condition. You'll stand up to your mother. You'll force her to accept me. Okay. And you'll tell me the truth. Everything. I will. Charles hugged Linda. Thank you, Linda. I love you very much. Linda hugged him back. I love you too, Charles. But no more lies. No more lies. I promise. They hugged and sat down together. After a long separation, they were together again. On the way home, Linda was quiet. Charles watched her from the corner of his eye. Linda, is something wrong? Did you change your mind? No, I'm just thinking. About what? Charles, there's something I need to tell you. About my past. Tell me. I'm listening. Let's talk at home. This is a very long story. When they arrived home, Susan was sitting in the living room. She was surprised to see Linda. Linda? Did you come back? Yes, Susan. I came back. But I thought... Charles interrupted. Mom, Linda is my wife. She is the lady of this house. Susan's face changed. Charles, we need to talk. No, Mom. We need to talk with Linda. All together. The three of them sat in the living room. Linda was wringing her hands. Linda, what did you want to tell me? Charles asked. Linda took a deep breath. Charles, I didn't tell you the whole truth about our family. What do you mean? How Martinez Hotels was bankrupted. What your family really did. Susan tensed. Linda, these are old matters. There's no point in stirring up the past. There is, Susan. Very much so. This destroyed my life. Linda stood up and went to the window. 20 years ago, my father, Robert Martinez, bought a small hotel. It was where he built his dreams. I know. You told me. But I didn't tell you the whole truth. My father was a very hard-working man. He expanded the hotel, then opened a second one. Within 5 years, he owned 6 hotels. Susan became uncomfortable. Linda, do we need to have this conversation now? Yes, Susan, we do. My husband should know what his family did. Charles approached Linda. Go on, Linda. My father's business was doing very well. Martinez Hotels had become well known in Los Angeles, but then your father stepped in. What do you mean? Linda turned and looked at Charles. Your father wanted my father's hotels, but he didn't want to sell. Susan stood up. Linda, these are very old matters. Sit down, Susan. Linda shouted. This is my story, and I'm going to tell it. Charles was surprised. Linda had never spoken so harshly. Continue, Linda. First, your father made normal offers. My father refused. Then the pressure began. What kind of pressure? First, we started losing customers. Strangely, reservations were being cancelled. Then, our suppliers cut us off. Charles's face changed. Then, problems arose from the municipality. Sudden inspections, fines, and closure threats. Susan couldn't stand it. Linda, these are old. Be quiet, Susan. I'm not finished. Linda looked at Charles with teary eyes. Then the bank withdrew our credit. There was no reason, but they withdrew it. Linda. Within 6 months, my father went bankrupt. They took all his hotels from him. Your father bought them at half price. Charles collapsed. Is this true, Mom? Susan didn't answer. Linda continued. But the worst happened afterward. My father went to court. He complained about the illegality of it. What happened? Nothing happened. Your father's lawyers were too powerful. My father's evidence wasn't sufficient. Linda started crying. My father fell into a depression during that process. He wouldn't leave the house for days. He couldn't find work because your father had blacklisted him. Charles's heart sank. Linda, I didn't know. Of course you didn't know. You were a child then. But now you know what your family did. So what? Linda continued in a trembling voice. My father hanged himself one night. In the garage of our house. I found him. Charles froze. What? Yes, I was 16. I came home from school, and I found my father like that. Susan was also shocked. Linda, I didn't know. Of course I didn't know. For you, it was just a business deal. But for us, it was the end of our lives. Charles approached Linda. Linda, I'm so sorry. I'm not finished yet, Charles. After my father died, my mother collapsed. I dropped out of school and started working. Paul became epileptic after that trauma. I understand. For 3 years we tried to survive. My mother started doing cleaning jobs. I did whatever work I could find. Linda looked into Charles's eyes. Ironically, I became a housekeeper in your house to save you. Charles's eyes filled with tears. Linda, I can't apologize enough. Apologies aren't enough, Charles. So what do you want me to do? Linda stood up. I want justice. What do you mean? I want compensation for the injustice your family did to my father's family. Susan panicked. Linda, these are very old matters. Now. No, Susan. This isn't over. My father's rights are still out there. Charles held Linda's hand. Linda, what can I do? Charles, you studied law. Can we file a lawsuit about this? A lawsuit? Yes, for the injustice your family did to my father's family. Susan screamed. This is madness. Are you planning to sue your own husband? Linda answered decisively. Yes, because it's the right thing to do. Charles thought for a long time. Then he looked at Linda. You're right, Linda. This should be done. Really? Yes, my father was wrong. This should be compensated for. Susan went crazy. Charles, what are you talking about? It doesn't matter, Mom. Linda is right. Linda hugged Charles. Thank you, Charles. This is very brave. I want justice, Linda. You deserve it. So, how will we do it? Tomorrow we'll find the best lawyers. We'll file a lawsuit. Susan collapsed. You two have gone crazy. Charles looked at his mother. No, Mom. We're finally doing what's right. Linda held Charles's hand tightly. Finally, justice would prevail. The next day, Charles and Linda went to the most prestigious law firm in Los Angeles, Morrison & Amp. Associates. Senior partner David Morrison met with them. Mr. and Mrs. Webster, I'm listening to your case, he said, preparing files. Charles began speaking. 20 years ago, my father illegally took over Robert Martinez's business. Now, we want to make things right. Morrison frowned. This was a very long time ago. Do you have evidence? Linda leaned forward. Yes, we do. I saved all of my father's files. Letters, bills, court records. This is interesting. May I see them? Linda took a thick file out of her bag. Here. I didn't know that my father had saved all of these documents, but now I understand that he thought they would be useful in the future. Morrison began examining the document. Threat letters from Webster Holdings, municipal records, bank correspondence. This is very valuable, Charles said. Charles asked, Can we file a lawsuit? Of course. But it will be against Webster Holdings. You're the owner of the company too. It's a strange situation. It doesn't matter. Justice must prevail. Morrison smiled. I understand. So, how shall we proceed? Linda asked. How much compensation can we get? With this evidence, the value of Martinez hotels at that time, lost income, and moral damages, we could get at least $20 million. Charles's eyes sparkled. This is Linda's right. Morrison closed the file. I'll prepare the lawsuit petition within a month. But Webster Holdings will mount a strong defense. We're ready, Linda said determinedly. Over the next few weeks, Charles and Linda began collecting evidence. They found former Martinez Hotels employees and interviewed witnesses from that period. During this process, Susan wasn't speaking to Charles. There was a tense atmosphere at home. One morning, Susan said, Charles, you're betraying your family. No, Mom. I'm ensuring justice. Linda has influenced you. You weren't like this before. Charles turned to his mother. You're right, Mom. I used to be blind, deaf, and merciless. Linda showed me the truth. When the court process began, the media showed great interest. Headlines such as Millionaire CEO sues his own company were published. On the day of the hearing, the courtroom was packed. Charles and Linda sat hand in hand. Judge James Patterson presided over the case. We're beginning the Martinez versus Webster Holdings case, he announced. Lawyer Morrison stood up. Your Honor, my client, Linda Martinez, claims that her father's business was illegally seized by Webster Holdings. The opposing lawyer, Robert Hughes, objected. Your Honor, these allegations are completely baseless. Webster Holdings conducted business legally. Morrison began presenting evidence. Here are threat letters sent from Webster Holdings to Martinez. He read one of the letters aloud. Mr. Martinez, it would be in your interest to accept our offer. Otherwise, it may become difficult to continue your business. Hughes objected. This is normal business correspondence. Morrison continued. Here are the municipal records. Sudden inspections were conducted on Martinez hotels. Each inspection took place after Webster Holdings' application. The judge examined the document. This is interesting. Continue. Here are the bank records. Martinez's credit was cancelled for no reason. These people are usually very fake. You're not artificial either. Charles looked at Linda. You changed me, Linda. How? I started being less cold. I started smiling more. Linda smiled. That's good. When the gala ended, Charles asked Linda in the car, How was it? Did you have fun? I had a lot of fun. Thank you. Don't thank me, thank yourself. You were perfect. Charles, can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you choose to live so alone? Charles thought. Maybe to protect myself. I always thought that if I got close to someone, I'd get hurt. But isn't living like this difficult? It was difficult. But you came, and everything started to change. Linda looked at Charles. He was really changing. He was less cold and more human. I just told the truth. Yes, and no one had the courage to tell me the truth before. When they arrived home, Charles thanked Linda. Thank you for tonight, Linda. You're a truly special woman. I thank you, Charles. It was a very beautiful evening. As they went to their respective rooms, they both felt that something was changing between them. Charles could no longer ignore Linda. Linda also realized that Charles wasn't a bad person. The next morning, Linda woke up to the sound of the phone. It was her mother. Linda, Paul's condition has worsened. They took him to the hospital. Come immediately. Linda jumped up in a panic. What happened? Did he have a seizure? Yes, a very big one. The doctors are worried. Linda immediately got dressed and ran downstairs. Charles was having breakfast. Charles, I need to go to the hospital. Paul's condition is serious. Charles stood up. What happened? He had a big seizure. My mother is very worried. I'll take you. Linda was surprised. You? But you have work. Work can wait. Come on. Let's get in the car. On the way, Linda was tense and worried. She wrung her hands and looked out the window. Linda, calm down. Paul will be fine, Charles said. What if he's not? Additionally, Webster Holdings will publish an apology statement. Linda hugged Charles. They were both crying. We did it, Charles. My father's soul has found peace. You did it, Linda. You never gave up. As they left the courthouse, reporters were waiting for them. Mr. Webster, how will this decision affect your company? Charles approached the microphones. Our company is strong. We'll pay this compensation. But most importantly, justice has prevailed. Are you sorry? Never. We made the right decision. On the way home, Linda squeezed Charles's hand. Charles, you're incredible. Standing up to your own company was very brave. I just did what was right. You taught me. So, what will we do now? Charles smiled. Now we'll build our real life. With a clean conscience. That night, Charles called his mother. Susan had moved out of the house. Mom, can we make peace? You ruined me, Charles. Mom, I did what was right. There was a long silence. Then Susan spoke. Maybe you were right, son. Maybe your father really was in the wrong. Mom, Linda is a good girl. I was very prejudiced. Charles was relieved. Thank you, Mom. After the lawsuit, Charles and Linda found real happiness. Now, there were no more lies or hidden issues between them. What do you think? Was Charles's lawsuit against his family a heroic act or a betrayal? Let's discuss it in the comments. Would you file such a lawsuit against your family's company? 6 months after the court decision, Charles and Linda began planning their new life. They had the $30 million in compensation, and they were finally living their true love. One morning, Charles surprised Linda with a proposal. Linda, there's something I want to discuss with you. Tell me. I'm thinking of moving to Miami. We could open a small boutique hotel there. Linda's eyes sparkled. Really? But why Miami? Because we could start over there. We can leave the past behind and start over, just the two of us. What about Paul? What will happen to him? Paul will come too, of course. There are better epilepsy specialists in Miami. It would be better for him. Linda hugged Charles. This is a wonderful idea. But will you leave Los Angeles and the company? I'll leave management of the company to professional directors. My mother has returned too, and she'll help. Susan had made peace with Linda in recent months. She now understood that the lawsuit was justified and had begun to accept Linda as her daughter-in-law. 2 weeks later, they went on a scouting trip to Miami. They found the perfect plot in South Beach. "This is amazing," Linda said, looking at the sea. "Yes, we can build a small, luxurious boutique hotel here. It would be the rebirth of Martinez hotels." Linda's eyes filled with tears. "My father would be very happy. He's always with you. You're fulfilling his dreams." After buying the plot of land, they began planning. The hotel would have 50 rooms, each with a sea view and a special design. "What should we name it?" Charles asked. "The Martinez Dreams Hotel," Linda replied with a smile. When construction began, Paul moved to Miami too. His seizures were almost non-existent thanks to new medications, and he had improved a lot. "Sister, you look very happy," Paul said one day. "I'm very happy. I understand what real love is now. He's changed a lot too. He loves you very much. I love him very much too." The construction of the hotel took a year. During this time, Charles and Linda truly became a married couple. There were no more lies or agreements between them. Only pure love remained. One evening, Charles prepared a special surprise for Linda. "Close your eyes, Linda." "Why?" "Trust me. Trust me." Linda closed her eyes. Charles took her to the seashore. "Now open them." When she opened them, she saw the perfect view in front of her. There were candles on the sand, rose petals, and a romantic table. "Charles, what is this?" Charles knelt in front of her and took out a ring box. "Linda Martinez Webster, will you marry me?" Linda was surprised. "But we're already married." "That was a fake marriage. This is real. Linda, I love you very much. I want to be happy with you for the rest of my life." Linda was crying. "Yes, Charles. Of course, yes." Charles put the ring on her finger. This time, it was a marriage born of true love. "I love you very much, Linda." "I love you too, Charles." They kissed. By the seashore in the moonlight, they lived their true love. The grand opening of the hotel was held. The Martinez Dreams Hotel became the most beautiful hotel in Miami. Linda was the general manager, and Charles was her business partner. On opening night, Linda hung her father's photo in the hotel lobby. "Dad, your dream came true. The Martinez family is back in the hotel business." Charles came and stood next to her. "He's proud of you." "Yes, I feel it." A year after the opening, Linda became pregnant. When the doctor delivered the news, Charles went crazy. "Really? Am I going to be a father?" "Yes, Charles. You're going to be a father." He hugged Linda and spun her around. "This is the greatest happiness of my life." 9 months later, twins were born, Robert and Maria. Robert was named after his grandfather, and Maria was named after her grandmother. Meanwhile, Paul had started university in Miami. He was studying hotel management. He planned to continue the family business in the future. One evening, Charles and Linda were sitting on the hotel terrace watching their children. "Charles, have you ever regretted it?" Linda asked. "Regretted what? Leaving Los Angeles and your old life?" Charles held Linda's hand. "Linda, you are my real wealth. You and our children are my real wealth. Money is just a tool. You've changed so much. When I first met you, you were cold and emotionless. You changed me. You taught me love, affection, and mercy. I changed a lot, too. I used to be very fearful and insecure. Now you're a strong, beautiful, and successful woman. My queen." They hugged each other. Behind them were difficult days, pain, and mistake. But now there was real happiness. Susan also visited frequently. She was very happy with her grandchildren and had begun to love Linda as her own daughter. "Linda, I did you a great injustice," she said one day. "It's in the past, Susan. Now we're family. You're a very kind-hearted girl. Charles is lucky. I'm lucky. Charles loved me very much." The Martinez Dreams Hotel became very successful. Within 2 years, they opened their second branch. Linda had become a recognized hotelier. One evening, Charles asked Linda, "Linda, are you happy?" "I'm very happy, Charles. I have a perfect life with you and our children." "I'm happy too. Meeting you was the best thing that ever happened to me. Our marriage used to be fake, but now it's real love." Yes, real love is worth everything. As they looked at the sea with their children playing beside them, they experienced true happiness. Charles Webster started this story as a cold man chasing money and status. But thanks to Linda, he learned love. Linda Martinez had also started out as a poor housekeeper. However, through her courage and honesty, she achieved great success. Together, they proved that true wealth lies in love, affection, and family. Money is just a tool. Happiness is in the heart. Charles and Linda's story ended happily. They lived happily ever after on Miami beaches in their love-filled home with their children. Dear Golden Heart Stories family, this story shows us that money doesn't bring happiness. True happiness lies in love, genuine relationships, and family bonds. Like Charles and Linda, we can all find true love. We just need to open our hearts.